criminal justice complex since everybody's here, and I always try to do my best to keep us within about an hour, close as possible. And Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Varga.
Here.
Commissioner Mareki.
Here.
Commissioner Clark Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner Ware.
Present.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you.
Next, item C, approval of the May 16, 2000. Oh, I'm sorry. Item B, Chairman's remarks.
The only remarks I have, I'll have some questions later on, but there will not be a committee meeting in July. But we will proceed.
Next, item C, approval of the May 16, 2019 meeting minutes.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes. Is there any opposition or no? Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mr. Clerk?
Next, item D, 1 under new business, an update from James Heath and Victoria Ennis Edwards and Steve Ohm regarding the status of the criminal justice complex.
Would you join us? Thank you. Thanks for being here. Is Victoria here today?
She is not today.
What did they bring that?
If I could maybe just ask you to give us an update. I'll have some questions. I'm sure there's some other questions too after you. We did receive a printed update. I believe it was late yesterday afternoon. And if you'd like to expand on that.
Sure. Good afternoon, Commissioners. James Heath, Corporation Counsel. Appreciate the opportunity to come before you again. There's not been all that much of a change since our last meeting. Construction is still steadily going forward. I'll let Steve update you on more of the particulars of that. We are making progress with, I know in the past we've talked about bid package number 4, which is the kind of the last large bid package that is going to be let for the project. That has been moved back about a month or so to August when they're going to begin rolling that out. And there's been somewhat of a flurry of activities leading up to that with technical workshops where our potential bidders on the project have an opportunity to come in, meet with Barton Malow, meet with some of the, we call them ECI, the contractors who have larger portions of the project, and kind of make sure that they have all their ducks in the row so that when the bid package is released, they're able to be competitive and to bid on it. In next week or so, there's going to be, we call it a Shark Tank meeting, in which companies will literally come in. I think everyone's probably familiar with the Shark Tank show, and they come in and they meet with the bidders and they pitch themselves for the work that is going to be let in that bid package. And it's really an invaluable process for companies to come to the attention of those who are going to be letting the contract, but it's also an opportunity for them to improve in areas where they need to. There's a lot of companies, this is, the first time working on or potentially working on a project of this size. And so that's a really important part of our business inclusion efforts. Our owner's advocate, as well as Barton Malow, who's done a really wonderful job of making sure that they are responsive to Wayne County businesses and businesses who, for whatever reasons, have not had the opportunities to work on these sorts of projects in the past, and they're all doing it, making sure that we remain under our budget, within our budget, which is obviously important to this, the county and this committee. You mentioned that there's not going to be a meeting in July. There's going to be probably the first, I'll call it a change to the original contract, which is going to be presented to the commission. I don't know how it's going to be handled, whether it'll be through this committee or through a larger one. I know
it'll be through the committee of the whole.
It'll be through the committee of the whole.
I spoke to the chair already about it.
Okay. And so just to give you a little bit of a preview, that first submission is going to be a contract to begin laying lines from DTE substation to the central utility plant, which you've heard me talk about in the past. That's about a 10-month to 1 year project, and so it's important that we have that work begin so that by the time the lines get run, the cup is ready to receive it and will be able to service the facility. So that's something that's going to be coming, and when I say in the next 2 weeks to the commission, that you'll be have an opportunity to take a look at that, and so I'll be able to answer any specific questions you have on that at that time. Steve, you want to talk a little bit about some of the construction activity over the last month or so?
Sure. We continue on with basically just foundation work, excavation and pouring concrete for foundations. They're going to be wrapping up the foundations in the ADF building here very shortly, and we'll begin into the JDF sometime early July. They have gotten back approved precast drawings, which is pretty exciting, because once those are cast, we'll start seeing vertical work coming up over the fence that you see around it now. You'll be able to see some structure going up. That should be very exciting to see, but that's about where we're at.
When you talk about casts, what are we talking about? You said
Precast concrete,
Precast concrete.
which will be the skin of the
Okay.
structure, and some of the interior structure is precast as well.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's precast plant is up in Grand Rapids.
Okay. If I could, provided you guys was there anything else, Steve, that you had that you wanted to mention?
That's about it
Okay.
going on site.
Okay.
And we continue to find some, we treat the contaminated soils,
Right.
and that's an ongoing process.
To that point, that was one of the questions that I had, how much, we've expended on as far as environmental issues up to this point. Because I know in the original agreement, I believe there was only $500,000 set aside for that. And then after that, the county would be obligated to split the costs with ROC for any additional expenditures up to $10 million or $5 million apiece. So where are we at budget-wise? And one of the things I wanted to ask, I guess, that we have a better sense going forth, how much the budgeted amount versus current expenditures up to that date of the report, and the cost or projected cost to complete, that we have some type of a report on that, or that should be included in the report, just so because I think the worst thing I want to see happen, or the worst case scenario, would be that we'd find out we're like right there at the limit of what was in the budget for the project, and then the next thing would be we're expected to vote for additional dollars to cover, such as the cup. I mean, this is something that you've brought to our attention already, and we don't know the cost right now. You said you still do not have the cost of what that's going to be, correct?
That's correct. So what you'll be getting when we bring the cup cost to you, and that will be after this first submission in the first 2 weeks, but likely over the next month or month and a half or so, you'll be getting that, and believe me, there'll be enough for you to digest and pick apart. What you will be getting is a guaranteed maximum price that we will work back from, so you'll know exactly how much we will potentially spend, but we will continue to work to reduce that amount as the work continues on the cup. And so that is the first thing, and really the only thing that would amount to a change in which the commission is going to be asked to vote on something that was not initially in the definitive agreement that you approved.
Okay.
But certainly, as those things come up, you'll be the first to know about them.
For instance, do you see any problem with, as I was requesting that the report can contain also like I said, the expenditures up to that date, the projected, cost of completion, and what was budgeted, and not necessarily in the same order. But-
So we can certainly provide you with updated amounts on the draws which have been made.
Right.
And so that would be a down to the penny figure
Right.
that you'll be able to determine. The budget for the project, has not changed at all, at least as of right now. But if there were any changes, we could give you that, and certainly you could keep track of it.
Okay. 'Cause
So
I,
there's no problem with providing that information.
Okay, yeah, because, like I said, I would expect that we're probably getting pretty close to the $500,000 for the amount of, you've been pumping out a lot of contaminated or potentially contaminated water, removing a lot of soil, and 500, I can't imagine would go very far paying for the remediation cost of that. I would assume you're bringing replacement soil in too, or that's part of it as well. So if we could get an update on that cost, because we only had that $500,000 built into that contract, and I would, that or anything else that we're expending money, because it looks like we've expended about 55 million or just under 55 million draw on our funds. And so if you could provide something to us that would have the details behind that as to what the breakdown of what has been spent so far, not just the dollar amount, but what it went to, and it doesn't have to be to the penny, but I think it's important that we have a pretty close approximation of what we've got left in that 55 million of what it went for, actually.
We can provide that in the next report, even though we're not going to be meeting next month.
Right.
We'll provide a written report
Okay.
which contains that information.
Okay. And let's see, I think I have a number, if committee will bear with me. One of the, as far as the committee, I don't think received any information. We did receive the flyer about the potential contractors that might be interested, the pre-bid meetings, but it didn't have anything as far as where those meetings were going to be located, when it was going to be, or the time. And that's probably the only question I had for Victoria, and I didn't know if you had that information now, because it didn't provide. I don't know if anyone else received that same email, but I think you've got a copy of it in front of you, but it doesn't indicate where those meetings are, and it indicates for the contractors to go to the site. And we looked at it and found that it didn't have any information of where they're going to be held, and I think it's important that commissioners know.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, I did not see the flyer myself, but I can send you an update when I get back to the office
Okay.
with the particular address and all of that information that you'd need.
'Cause I know you, as well as the rest of the committee and all the commissioners, want to make sure we have as wide a net as possible to throw out there to get contractors from all over, and all over in the county of Wayne primarily. And we want to make sure that word gets out, and that if we want to attend one of those, we can do that also. But Commissioner Ware.
Is that what the Lewis James group do?
They're part of that, so it's a collaborative effort between the owner's advocate as well as Barton Malo, who has their own business inclusion group. And so we work cooperatively, and also includes the Human Relations Department.
So just so you will know, I'll be sending the chairman an email requesting the Lewis James group to come to one of our meetings. I want to see who they are. Thank you.
Okay. Also, CGL recently opened an office, I think, on Rivard. Is that correct?
No, as part of the contract the county has with Rock, they are required to provide a trailer office
Okay.
for us,
Okay.
for our use. And so we're on the site where all the trailer offices are. Barton Bowell has a trailer, Rock has a trailer, Motor City, the mechanical contractor.
Okay.
You'll see a lot more trailers out there as more subcontractors come on board, but
Okay. So that's was something budgeted and it was in part of the deal with CGL that we provide that, okay? So,
And subsequently with the agreement you county has with Rock, they provide it.
okay. That was all I have right at the moment. Anyone else? Oh.
Covered it pretty good.
Well, yes, Mark.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just had a couple of questions. You gave us the budget updates, and you talk about the, let me turn this on. You talk about the central utility plant and that we're negotiating detail. If you're talking about detail, do we have any kind of estimate about what that cost is going to be? I mean, you're saying that it's going to come to us, an agreement to be finalized. Is that going to give us sticker shock?
Define sticker shock. So it's a significant amount. I don't know because I wasn't here what the through the chair what amounts had been provided to the commission previously, but it's going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. I can tell you that for sure.
okay, you're talking also about the removal of 400,000 gallons of contaminated water and 16,000 tons of contaminated soil. But we haven't seen the budget yet. So, are you? And again, I know that you've talked about. Is this going to push us over the amount where we have to start contributing to the environmental?
No.
So this has all been taken care of within the.
500.
All right. So that's good news, right?
That's good news.
Just
Just
one
so you
other.
understand the water, that if it rains on the site, they collect all the rainwater.
Wow.
Because it's hit the soil, and they put it in tanks and run it through a filter before they send it off the site. That's,
Right, but it's still the tonnage on contaminated soil seems rather high. 16,000 tons is a lot of soil.
yes.
And again, I only had a brief time to look at the contract, but under meetings, it says construction manager shall prepare and promptly distribute minutes to the owner's representative and architect. Wayne County really doesn't have standing here except as a third-party beneficiary. Is there any problem with us getting those minutes? I mean, particularly CGL?
So no, I mean we'd be happy to to provide
I mean,
you.
do you get the minutes?
So we get the notes. They're not really detailed in the normal format that you'd think about minutes, but we do get those notes and we synthesize that and provide it to the commission. But we'd be happy to pass on what we get to you.
I think that would be.
Yeah, I like I said early on, I think I mentioned that I'd like to see us get a look at everything that's coming through that you receive upstairs. I mean, it might give an early indication that we spotted something, or you may have caught it already, but at least it might be worth a question or two at a committee meeting. Is that all you have, Art?
Thank you.
Okay. There was something that I spotted. And do we have, you said all the AMC DDOT documents. Do we have those, Felicia? Did you receive those? I think it was the final documents that Mr. Heath had indicated he was going to provide to us. Did they make their way to you? Or did we get them back from the city of Detroit yet?
No, we haven't received anything from the city since we spoke
Okay,
at the last
I'm sorry. Yeah.
the last meeting. No,
Okay,
that's right.
okay,
I just don't know that they filed
okay.
them yet, or to be honest with you, when they intend to do that.
And
But
I guess one of the big, the elephant in the corner sort of is, we're all, I was pleased that I heard this morning that Mr. Gilbert was released from the hospital and he's going to rehab. But since it is, on behalf of the taxpayers, we've got a huge amount of money committed to this project, and already with almost $55 million that's already being expended, we would like to know if you know anything. Is that going to affect? Because I know he was a guarantor, personal guarantor, and have you looked at the impact that might have if? Hopefully he makes a full recovery and he's and good condition within a few months, if not a few weeks. Do you have anything that you could share with us?
Well, I will share this. Our meetings with Rock have continued on throughout the duration of Mr. Gilbert's illness, and we've not missed a beat. We literally, someone from the county or CGL is meeting with Bedrock folks literally every day on some issue, and there's not been any problems with respect to Mr. Gilbert not being personally available. Our CFO for the county, per the terms of the contract, does on a quarterly basis review Mr. Gilbert's, who has the personal guarantee, his financial condition to make sure that that guarantee is still viable. Now no one else sees that information. We just get basically a thumbs up or thumbs down from the CFO. There has not been an opportunity to review finances since Mr. Gilbert's illness, but in all of the trips to their offices, prior to that, everything checked out. And so we have seen absolutely zero impact to the project as a result of him being in the hospital.
Right.
And I can't recall where I read or heard this, but there was something to the effect that some of the permits for some of the other projects that he's got underway, I think, isn't it the one near Midtown called the Monroe Project, that nothing is happening with that currently. It's like at a standstill, and which causes some concern as to whether or not there's any issues there that might bleed over into his obligations here.
Well, so quick, because it's in my district and I have a lot of communication with them, I know I only inquired about the jail project, and I think that it's coming along smoothly. And when I went to Mackinac, I ran into some of the Quicken Loan, Bedrock, what's the other name?
Rocket.
People, higher up executives, and they didn't indicate any problems. I haven't kept up with the other projects in the district. He have a lot going on in Wayne County Commission District 2, because I guess my number one project is the jail. And we should only be concerned with the jail, making sure that the jail, unless county funding is involved.
Well, yeah, it's the point I'm making is that if there are other issues, whether or not it bleeds over into the Wayne County issue or the project that we're all committed to, so that I would hope that if you see or hear something, you'd immediately let
Absolutely.
us know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there any other questions or no? Everyone's tired after the lunch, eh?
Yeah.
The chicken.
You spread everything we were saying.
Yeah. I have no other questions at this time. I don't know if there's anyone else that has any questions.
But I could say one more thing.
Yes.
Senator Clark Coleman, you last month brought Mr. Scales to our meeting. I did want to give you an update. I know he's going to speak with you as well if he hasn't done so already.
So I appreciate the update.
We did have a very productive meeting, maybe 2 weeks after the commission meeting, and I'll leave it to him to kind of tell you his level of satisfaction. But I think that there may be some opportunities as we go forward, and so I appreciate you bringing him to our attention.
See, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was beneficial for us all to hear from him. Thank you for bringing him.
But so thank you.
Thank you.
For having me
He
back.
trying, isn't he?
See, that gets him off my back. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. And he's a constituent too, so I certainly want him to be satisfied. Of course, you are too, so.
Absolutely.
Well, once again, I'll ask any other questions, any other comments or questions? Okay. We'll move along, and Mr. Clerk,
Item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
are there any other such matters? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk,
Item F, public comments.
anyone from the public wishing to comment? or have any questions? Again, anyone from the public wishing to comment? Seeing none,
Item G, adjournment.
do I have a motion?
Adjourn.
All right,
I remember what it is.
so moved. Thank you.
Thank you.